Greetings and the best of salutations. That would be prayer, peace, power, praise, patience, and prosperity. In my self-introspection and therapeutic expression of personal healing, I want to deal with the word called intelligent or intelligence in a define. To define it, we look at the word D in front of it, and we have the word fine, something that is fine-tuned. But that which is defined also is something different in the meaning. Mean. What do you mean? Which means you're trying to get a understanding, a means to a end. A mean-spirited person is a cruel person. We deal with the content and the context. We deal with the connotations and association. Fine. When you look at through the eyes of individuals, we see something that is fine, looks good, but everything that looks good is not necessarily good for you. And believe, son, of what you hear, and not everything that you see. We look at the sun as being yellow, but the sun is that's what we see. But beyond that is that's not the color. When I think of color, I think of virtue. So who is the greatest among you? Those who rank and indeed. And it's by way of virtue. Intelligence, it says that we need to use that which is required upon us, is to use our intellect. The faculty that has been given to us, and the ability to be able to reason, but reason at a high level. And once we learn to reason from the premise of conversation and reason with progression rather than regression, and we make sense out of intelligence. Intelligence. Intelligence is different from education, and discipline precedes knowledge, and orientation precedes education. So it's about the orientation, how you've been orientated. It is said that read in the name of your origin, is your preposition, the preposition that you were before created that potential to rise above the function of this material world, to soar through the air higher plane, like a plane. Plane that flies. Haru. The hour. Says 24 hours in the day, 11 times 1. 10 times 2, 9 times 3, 6 times 4. And so forth and so on, comes up to be 60 hours in a day. 60 minutes in a second. 60 represents hour. It's the pi theory, the clock. The chronicle of the clock is the pi theory. I go so forth. You can go so on and so on and so on and so on. But it's intelligence, but it's the attitude that we have about our faculties. Or intelligence, or to use our intellect. It says that knowledge applied becomes intelligence. The word intelligence is defined as such. It has been defined in many ways. Many ways. The only way I know is the way of benevolence. To be kind. To be generous. To be caring. To be respectful. To be loving. Only because of the generosity, I believe, that has been given to us from our humble beginnings, from the evolving of the sperm mixed with ovum and making unto the fallopian tube. That's the way. That's the path. The fallopian tube to coming out into this plane of existence. That's being kind. Defined in many ways, Higher levels, abilities. We can go about trying to destroy one's ability to be able to learn to reason from the premise of conversation and be able to reason at a high level one with another. Destroy our ability to be brothers and sisters, our ability to coexist with one another. So it deals with the attitude, anything that it comes, it should reawaken our intellect or awaken our intellect to our preposition of being created with nobility and dignity, The fall of humanity and sin is the lack of accountability. You missed the mark. Moral culture declines. It's called recidivism, and that is associated really with insanity. So we see the attitude of the society and or the attitude, and when it comes to understanding what is redefining, if I may use it, when it comes to intelligence, because a thoughtful person is an intelligent person. A kind person, a considerate person is a thoughtful person. And it reminds me of a artist who was talking about he cannot listen to the music industry anymore because of what they putting out there is real commercial. Everybody wants to sell you something, it's like want to be seen. There is no integrity, no ethics. They don't take the craft, if I may use that word, their natural ability, their talents. It's just very commercial, It's like there was another artist that just I don't like saying names, but you can tell that the artist that he brought on board, and you can tell of a hue, of a color, and you could tell that that's me. You could tell, you get to analyze and see things. You see that it's just there for promotional reasons. It's for promotional reasons, and there are those who are backing what they call black excellence. What is black? It's nothing black or white. I mean, what is before the word black? There's lack. Something is behind the scenes. It's like people will put you out there and make you feel good about yourself, but yet at the same time destroying you, make fair seeming seem good. It's all a game. It's all a game. So, and it's like when people who are serious in their intellect and their intelligence, and they're not seeking, necessarily to be, just to show their face, just to say that they know something. And I realized that there was just to, feed or satisfy their ego, if I should say. I remember it's far too many times people can interpret all these religious texts, but what are they adding to it? What are they building on it? We talk about all these people who are considered to be great people, but yet at the same time, we're just happy to see them, but yet what are we doing to build on what they have left behind, and what they are doing, and what you are doing? Do things just to be celebrated, just to be seen, just to be heard. It's like we're suffering from a sense of belonging. We can cover it up all day long. We can pretend all day long to be something that we're not. Surely we have been irresponsible with pleasure. Intelligence has been defined in many ways: higher level of abilities, such as abstract reasoning, mental representation, problem solving, and decision making. The ability to learn emotional knowledge, creativity, and adaptation to meet the demands of the environment effectively. Now this goes into culture. Culture is dynamic. So one doctor says, I always use her, Dr. Seymour, I use her name. The artist that couldn't listen to the music, can't listen to the music anymore. And he was a jazz musician. That was Sonny Rollins. But she says culture is dynamic. We have to take a very serious look at culture when it becomes destructive. We got to take a serious look at our attitude when we become very destructive. We have to take a very serious look at intelligence, of what we define or come to know as intelligence, when it is destructive, when it is destroying us. And we know that certain things that we shouldn't do, but we do it anyway, and we say we're going to die for something anyway. That's destructive. That is distorted thinking, as well as distorted reasoning. So therefore, it put us in a position of being emotionally displaced. And when a person is emotionally displaced, he or she suffer from psychological homelessness. So there is a lot of psychological homelessness in the society in which we live. There's a lot of psychological homelessness amongst those whom we interact with on a daily basis. They're physically here, but psychologically, they're homeless. They are homeless. Home, a place of security. Homeless, being able to home in and focus in on their reawakening back to their original position of nobility and dignity. There is a lot of homeless, psychological homeless, of those who perpetuate and promote their intelligence in the way of self-aggrandizement. Therefore, wanting to be celebrated. It is like intelligence to think, to reflect, to meditate has been betrayed. And and then those betray the people, because you can tell that the people have been betrayed by those who are positioned of rank, authority, and power, and go to school to get the education, that they have been betrayed. Because we can tell that they have been betrayed. What they have been betrayed, they betrayed their intellect. They have betrayed their intelligence. They betrayed their faculties to be able to reason in the best of ways. They have been betrayed. So therefore, we're going around betraying others, pretending to be something that they are not. Where did this come from? When people start thinking themselves as if they are the gods. And people come to them rather than reflecting and meditating and going inside of themselves. People come to them because they see that they have the answers, that they have the power, that they have the solutions to your problems. Anyone who knows about anyone that is on some type of addiction, they go to the one that can help them, give them the fix for that addiction. That is psychological homelessness. And it has been accepted. So there is a lot of psychological homelessness amongst the people. And these things need to be addressed. It is a public health crisis because the soul of humanity, man, the soul of humanity is at stake. Your soul, my soul is at stake. Lack of accountability. So we have to look at this intellect and how we define, and when it comes to intelligence, it says the knowledge applied becomes intelligence. So does favor is given to us based upon our of knowledge, the knowledge that we have. Well, a criminal have knowledge to create a crime. We have developed manipulating tactics to feel appreciated, to try to fill the void of our psychological homelessness. People praise you and hold you in high esteem, but you have not dealt with the psychological homelessness, the emotional displacement. You haven't dealt with your present, mental state. You have not dealt with it yet. And it's painful, that it's hard for you to deal with it. So the way to deal with it is through a form of addictions or things that is outside of you rather than going in the inside of you. We don't want to confront with this reality. So therefore, we are under the spell of an illusion, of a magician, a conjurer, a conjecturer. So therefore, many have become conjecturers themselves. Smoky mirrors. And once you come to the realization of dealing with coming back to your preposition that you held of nobility and dignity, then you know that you wouldn't follow suit there. You know that you wouldn't act out on the screen the warp and the mentality of an attitude that is warped, that is distorted, that is dangerous, that is harmful, that is disrespectful, and making this out to be the reality. But it is a reality that has been given to us by a master magician and a conjecturer. One who he or she himself is dealing with psychological homelessness. psychosocial dislocation, trying to find a home. And they find security in the trappings of niceties, of money, power, privilege, and prestige. They home in on it. It becomes so commercialized, so distorted, that it corrupts and contaminates one's human intellect, the development of one's human intellect for the betterment of humanity. And we interact with other people who have been so distorted, so contaminated and corrupted. And then we assimilate amongst them. We conform to them. Then we integrate with them. So there is a solution. The solution is to separate from that mentality, to separate from that thinking. Come out of it. Because if it becomes popular, it's like a cell. That behavior, that thinking, that actions become popular. It likes a cell. And in that cell, it imprisons you. It imprisons others. Brother says that, I think Ivan Van Sertima said this: mental bondage is invisible violence. And what is violence? Violence is the result of an unresolved status. If you don't know who you are, you're most susceptible to participating in acts of violence. Dr. Francis Krauss Wilson talks about violence in regards of the gun and the penis and the insecurity, the feeling of insecurities and feelings of inadequacy, and try to compensate for that by being violent. Psychological homelessness, man. We have to redefine in the application and in the demonstration of what intelligence look like. And what intelligence look like, that it is thoughtful, it is caring, it is respectful, it is courteous, it is ethical, it is moral, it is ethical, it is moral, it is kind, it is loving, it is caring. And it raises each and every one of us up, that we become and we embody that in the manner and way in which we relate and treat one another. It has nothing to do with anything that is outside of us, that which we solicit for. So we have been deceived as a human being, as we call ourselves, when it comes to what is defined as intelligence. It doesn't seek any reward. It just do it from the heart. What sparked this expression? That a gentleman send me something, Brother Dennis, send me something, and he was just thinking about me, you know. My mom, she would call, never use it, she called thinking about me. I call it thinking about you. Care. I'm concerned about you. But we must be concerned. And the manner and way in which we take a look at what the intellect, our faculty, that which has been given to us, is the ability to reason. So that which is, we were created to be responsible with our faculties and with our limbs. But I said, guide us on the straight path. Responsible with our eyes, responsible with our tongue, responsible what we consume, responsible what we intake. Very challenging today when it comes to what is defined in the application and the meaning of intelligence and the intellect. In the academic field, that people go around trying to fill a void of and live through someone else. But yet the void has not been filled, and deal with your own psychological homelessness and emotional displacement. Maybe the pain is so severe that you are unable to express it and deal with it. You don't want to confront it. So how can project something on the screen and let others act out your mental illness, your psychological homelessness, and contaminate, influence others? Very challenging today. Intelligence, intellect. There's two struggles for me. Common sense versus nonsense. And progression versus regression. We were not raised as human beings or created. Everything was raised up for a purpose. And that purpose is not to reflect carelessness, no callousness, that we move from sympathy to empathy in this purest form, that which we was raised to use our intellect, our faculties, our ability to reason from the premise of conversation and the use of our limbs and how we interact and relate and treat one another. May we learn not to become superficial, artificial, that our titles and our accomplishments and our worship be not of ourselves, but the one that created us. Talking about from one of many. Back to one, if I may use that language. And don't worry about oversimplify the gift, the gift. But hold reverence and respect to the giver. Reverence the womb that gave you and I birth. Talk to you.